Hello everyone. It's been a while since I posted a video on this channel, but recently Maya 2025 came out, and it does come with an interesting new feature, which is ML Deformer. So if you don't know what ML Deformer is, it's basically a deformer that uses machine learning. That's the ML. What's ML stands for? It uses machine learning to learn the deformation of a specific system that you have for your mesh. For example, blend shape, or a muscle simulation, or some advanced rigging, whatever. It can be anything. You can train, basically you can train a AI to learn your deformation, and then you can apply this learned model to your mesh without the underlying complex system. So for example, this scene here comes within Maya, and it's going to, so if I scroll the timeline here, so in here you can see, if I toggle this ML Deformer on and off, you can see that there's quite a big difference in deformation. So this is just the regular skinning. If I show the joint, there's a simple joint system here. I think what they did here, they used this Maya muscle system. I'm not very familiar how this works, to make like a complex muscle simulation. And as you can see, by default, let me hide this. By default, this and this look quite different, but if I turn this on, so they look basically the same. And this is the ML Deformer that learned these deformations. So, what can we do with this? Well, we can, for example, take a complex rigging system and create a bunch of poses for this system to train our ML model to learn how this rig deforms our character. And then we can take this learned model and apply it to a much simpler rig. Let's see. If this is confusing, it will make sense in a little bit. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm going to show you. Let's take, this is a Metahuman. I'm gonna use this guy as an example because Metahuman does have a very nice rig. And if I grab any of this joint, when I move, you can see it has all these corrective joints that activates. You can see that the legs, you can see this joint right here, it pops up, it fixes the knee, it fixes the I have this thing in the elbow as well. You can see how the elbow, this joint pops up and it fixes the elbow shape and all of that. And they have this nice deformation here, and you can see all these joints that when I move they activate. These are corrective joints, and their joint system, their rig is very nice. Obviously they also have facial system, but for this tutorial we are not gonna care about that. So what if we could transfer all this nice rig with all this nice deformation into something a lot simpler? For example, I'm going to import this guy right here, and let's show the joints. So this is what I've done. This is literally, I just took this Metahuman mesh, which, by the way, this is the comes in two pieces, but if you go in here, there is that's the head, body, geometry. There should be, yeah, combined LOD. So this is one piece. All right. So what I did, I took this mesh and I step it down by one LOD, so this is a little bit lighter to work with. I just remove the face to get it a little bit less distracting. And the joints are super simple. So, you know, this is literally like the most basic joints. Just, you know, some spine, arms, forearms, knees. That's super, super simple. So my goal is to take all these nice deformations that happens with this complex rig, the Metahuman rig, and train a machine learning deformer, ML Deformer, and then apply it to my character, which it just have a simple skinning. As you can see, this looks terrible. The knee, the arm here bend, but you can see like I didn't do pretty much any adjustment to the skinning. This just looked terrible. You have the caramel wrap effect here. This just looked really bad, and you know, the usual. You see that the usual thing that happens when you just do a simple skinning without putting too much effort into the skin weights, and also if you don't use any corrective shapes, it's going to be very, very difficult. You can spend hours and hours in trying to do a better job here with the skin painting, but it's going to be very difficult to get something that looks good unless you start making corrective joints, and you know, it's getting complicated. So the eagle-eyed among you might have noticed that my MetaHuman scene is actually open in Maya 2023, and the reason for this is because the folks at Quixel/Epic Games did not, at least at the time of this recording, they did not update the plugin for MetaHuman and Maya. So what happens is that if I switch to Maya 2025, this is, you can see Maya 2025, it's the same scene. Unfortunately, as you can see, none of the corrective joint works and none of the logic actually works, and that's because Metahuman uses its proprietary DNA system and all of that stuff that the plugin will take care of, but yeah, there's no plugin for Maya 2025 at the moment. We need to generate the poses for the training. Now, how many poses do we need? Well, for my testing, I found that for a full body like this, not including the finger and the toes, I don't care about those, and I found that 10,000 poses is a good number. Now, obviously, we are not going to make 10,000 poses by hand. Luckily, Maya comes with a nifty tool for doing that, and I'm going to show you how to do it. And then, because, like I just said, 2025 doesn't support the Metahuman rig, we're just going to export. Once you apply the poses here, we're going to transfer the poses into Maya 2023 and export that. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is to generate the pose for our character. And to do this, we're going to use the pose generator that it's inside the ML Deformer tool. So if I select my mesh and I go here into Deform, you can see it says ML Deformer. This is the brand new deformer. Click on it, and this is the main window. So we're going to pin this window. If I click here on the pin, so if we click on other stuff, this stays here. And the first thing we want to do is to this pose generator tab here. It's by default is probably closed, but you can see it says none. So when we create a ML deformer, Maya also creates a thing called control collector, which is this panel right here, control collector. So if we go back to ML Deformer here, and in pose generator where it says none, we can click here and say assign control collector and select the control collector 1. Okay. So if we now go back to control collector 1, there's this window right here, And there's a in the controls here, there's a scalars and there's a matrices. Now, it took me a while to figure this out. This is kind of complicated, but so what we need to do, we need to select which joint we want the poses to be generated for. So in this case, we want probably like the spine, we want the clavicle, we want the forearm, the leg, the lower leg, and all this. And we can assign some joint limitation, rotation limitation, so that when the poses are going to be generated, you're not going to get poses like, I don't know, like things like this. It's still going to happen, but maybe it's going to be, if we put some effort into making some reasonable limits, it's probably going to be less, the poses are going to be less crazy and less ridiculous. So if you select any of the joints here, you can see that in the panel here you get access to the attributes of these joints, and I'm under the scalars tab, not in the matrices tab. This is important. Make sure that you're in the scalars tab for this step. We'll talk about the matrices later, but so make sure that for your source, which is the one with the nice rig, we're going to use the scalars. So let's start from the clavicle, I think. So if you select rotate X, rotate Y, and rotate Z, and you select these three and click the plus button, they will be added to the list. Now, you can see here there's a min max, and this is the rotation limitation that we need to take care of. So if we leave it like this, this means that during the pose generator, the poses will move this joint from minus 100 to 100, and for the clavicle that would be definitely way too much, because you're gonna get really broad movement, which a human clavicle probably not able to do. So what I recommend is to kind of like move this around. If we go here, you can see the rotation. Move this around, take a look at where a reasonable pose is gonna be, like minus 40 to about 10 for the rotate Y. So what you do, you go back here, so rotate Y, you can say minus 40, and max is 5, or maybe if you want 10 to get a little bit more. Then for the let's go that's 0, and so this one is gonna be something like maybe 30 and 30. That's probably okay. So Z is gonna be minus 30 and 30, and for the X, I don't think the X is gonna rotate much. Let's do maybe like minus 5 and 5. I don't really want much rotation like this. So the X is gonna be just minus 5 and 5. Let's see if this is good enough. I can do maybe minus 10 and 10. I don't know. So these are going to be the limits that we are going to set for this joint. Now you have to basically repeat this this operation for each of the joints that you want to animate. So the next one is going to be, I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to stop the video and come back when I'm done. But so I'm going to do just the forearm, sorry, the upper arm. So select X, Y, and Z. Make sure it's the rotate. Click on plus, and let's see. So for rotate X, we probably want something like 90, yeah, 80, let's do, yeah, so let's do minus 80 and 80. For the Y, we are gonna do something like minus 60 and 30, something like that. Minus 60 and 30. And for the Z, well, the Z can go up to, I would say, 130 and 60. So minus 130 and 60, something like that. All right. So yeah, maybe even 70, if you want. Okay, something like that. All right, and so okay. All right, so I'm gonna do. I'm gonna speed up the video. I'm gonna do this for the other joints. So I'm going to include the lower arm, and then the hand. Then I'm gonna do that for the other side. So clavicle, upper arm, lower arm, right hand. Then I'm gonna do spine 1, spine 2, spine 3, and spine 4. Then I'm gonna do neck 1, neck 2, head, and then I'm gonna do thigh, calf, and the foot, and the other one. So thigh, calf, and foot. So these are all the joints that I am gonna include in my for my automatic pose generation. So now I'm gonna pause the video because this is gonna take a little bit of time, and then I'm gonna show you my what value I assign to each of these. If you want to copy these, you don't have to. You can put your values. That's perfectly fine. But yeah, so this is what I'm going to do. So see you in a bit. All right. I finished setting all the joint limit, the rotation limits. One thing that I forgot is that for some joints, for example, the lower arm and the calf joint, you probably only want rotation on one axis, because you definitely don't want your legs to rotate this way or this way. So you just want one axis rotation, same as the forearm here. So as you can see, if I go and check my here, it's called lower arm, you can see that it only has rotate Z, because that's Z is the rotation. If I select this, it's just Z, and same for the leg, is just Z. If you're using a different rig, your axis might be different. The point is, if you made a mistake, you add something you don't need, you just select and click this trash can icon and we'll delete it. So lower arm only has the Z rotation, and the calf, which is where is it? It's down here. Oh, it's called yeah, cough. It only has rotate Z. So I'm gonna show you my I'm gonna scroll down slowly. So if you're using Metahuman and you're following along, if you want to copy my values, feel free to do so. Otherwise, just make your own. If you're using a if you're using your own rig, obviously these are going to be completely different. But you know, if you follow along, you can pause the video. Just these are the joint that I added with the value that I added. You can pause the video and set him the same way. Doesn't matter. Okay, so now we can set the number of poses that we want. We said that we want 10,000 poses. You can use less if you want, but for my testing, I found out that 10,000 it gives you decent enough result. So 10,000 poses. Yeah, this should be, so apply to controls all. I'm not sure if this makes any difference. Well, I guess selected only, or do the selected ones. So apply to controls all, number of poses 10,000. This should be okay. So when we're ready, we just push this button here that says generated poses from control. And if everything goes smoothly, Maya should generate. Yeah, there you go. So each frame now has a randomly generated pose. And if we go to 10,000, we should, let's expand this. We should get, yeah, so up to 10,000. These are 10,000 generated poses. Now, all right, great. So we got our poses. And like I said before, because if I get this frame, for example, obviously this is bad. We don't want to see this. And that's because, like I said earlier, this version of Maya does not work with Metahuman. So what we need to do now, we need to export these poses to Maya 2023 so we can actually use the Metahuman rig to generate our source deformations. And then we will be able to train it with the ML Deformer. So to do that, I am going to select the root and then go to File, Export Selection, and I'm gonna choose Anim Export. Now, Anim Export is something that comes with Maya, but many people don't know it exists. If it's not visible to you in here, you probably need to turn it on. If you go to Windows, Setting Preferences, Plugin Manager, and if you search for Anim, you should see Anim Import Export ML. Turn this both on, click close, and then again you select your root, export selection, and you should have Anim Export here in the export type. I'm gonna call this 10k underscore poses. Now in the option, make sure that in the hierarchy it says below, because we selected only the root. So if you leave it by default to selected, this is going to only export the root which doesn't actually have any animation. So make sure that you set below, and you can say start end. So start from 0, end is 10,000. Okay, and click export selection. Alright, so this might take a little bit of time. No, it actually didn't. So let's switch back to Maya 2023 and let's see if everything worked. Before we do that, make sure to save this scene with a different name. We don't want to override the previous scene because it's not going to be compatible with Maya 2023 since there's no ML Deformer in Maya 2023. So make sure you save this scene with a different name. I called mine ML Deformer setup. You can call it whatever you want, but just make sure you don't override the previous scene, the original Metahuman scene, because otherwise we're going to break things. So just save this with a different name, and then let's go back to Maya 2023 and open the original scene. Okay, so this is Maya 2023, you can see here, and we have the original Metahuman scene. We can see that we don't have any animations, but the deformation, the rig is working. It's working perfectly. So now we need to import the animation that we created in Maya 2025, the poses that we created. So again, select the root and then go to File, Import, and just select the file that we exported. I call it 10K poses. The default settings should be good enough. We click import. Takes a few seconds. Alright, let's see if it worked. So if I scroll, yes. Now you can see we got all the poses and the joints are doing their job. The corrective joints are doing their job. You get this nice deformation. Now some of these poses are, well, I would say most of these poses are pretty weird, but we don't need to worry about that because these will create enough variation for the ML Deformer to learn enough about how our character deform in a variety of situations. So just to make sure, if we go to 10,000 and let's go here, let's see, yeah, okay, all the poses have been imported. Okay, so now let's import our character. So our character, just gonna drag it in here. This is our character, and this is just the geometry for now. And the reason why I imported the geometry is because right now for this particular test I'm only going to bake. I'm going to create an Alembic cache with this geometry to train the ML Deformer in Maya 2025. It all will become clear in a second. So first of all, we need to assign these joints to our geometry. Now, if I remember correctly, these joints here are not the one that are connected to this mesh, because Metahuman uses this weird system. So I believe that these are the actual joints that we need to bake. So if we select DHI body root and then control click our geometry, and then we can go into the rigging tab, skin, bind skin. I'm just gonna reset settings, just gonna keep everything. I'm just gonna uncheck colorize skeleton. Everything else is gonna be default, apply and close. So in theory, okay, yes. And now let's transfer the weight. So select the original Metahuman mesh, control click your geometry, go to skin, and there is copy skin weights. I'm gonna click this option button here. Again, reset settings. I'm gonna just say closest point on surface. This should be fine. And let's see. Yeah, okay. So if we hide, so we don't need to see this anymore. We can hide this. So this is our character, and we just basically just copy the skinning from the Metahuman one. Okay, so we get all the nice rig deformations. Oops, not this one. We get all this. The deformation are still working and they are applied to our character. Okay, this is nothing special. We just literally just copy the skinning to our character. But what we want now, we want to bake these deformations so we can export this in Maya 2025. Now, if this is a little bit confusing, again, I'm only doing this step because Maya 2025 doesn't support Metahuman. If Metahuman was supported, we would not have needed to go back here and do this, but yeah, it only works in Maya 2023, so I need to do this step. So what I'm gonna do, I'm going to select my mesh, and I got all my poses, and now we are going to export this as a geometry cache. So you can either if you go to cache, you can either use Maya cache or Alembic cache. I think I'm gonna use Alembic just because why not? So export selection to Alembic, and I'm going to select this option box here. So start to end, start at 0 frame, actually we are frame 1, okay, start frame 1 to 10,000, step 1, and we don't need anything else, maybe UV, well, I don't really care about it, but whatever. And then export selection. So let's call this Metahuman body 10K poses. I already exported it, so I'm not going to export it again, but yeah, you can name with this whatever you want and just click export selection. This is gonna take a while. It's gonna take a few minutes, so export this, and then we can go back to Maya 2025 and continue with the ML Deformer training. Alright, we're back in Maya 2025, and I think after this point we shouldn't be able to we should be able to do everything else in 2025. We don't need 2023 anymore. So we exported the Alembic cache of our character. So let's import it in this scene. So let's go to cache, Alembic cache, import Alembic, and let's select the cache that we exported. So here it is. And if we scroll, yeah, it does have all the poses that we exported. If we go to 10,000, let's make sure that all the poses has been exported. Yes, okay, everything has been exported. So now this is gonna be our learning reference. Okay, this is gonna be the mesh where the ML Deformer is gonna take a look at and learn the deformation from. Now we want to apply this to our character, and I'm gonna bring back my character, which is here, which is the same geometry, but this one has but this one has the joints that I show you in the beginning. You remember, this is just a simple simple geometry with simple joints. It doesn't have any of the metahuman deformation, joint, corrective joint, none of that. So it's just a very simple skinning with a basic joint. So here's our reference, and we want basically to use this reference to tell ML Deformer, hey, take a look at this deformations and learn how the character is deforming, and then apply this deformation to my skinning mesh. This is the power of the ML Deformer. I'm just going real quick. I'm just going to. I don't really like these long names, so I'm just going to. If I go to General Editor, Namespace Editor. Okay, it was not a namespace. I'm just gonna double click and name this. This is ABC cache. So this is our Alembic cache, and this is our geometry. So, alright, cool. Let's select our geometry, our character, the one that it's bind to our skin, not the cache. This is important, don't mistake these two. So our character, our skinning character, and let's go to deform and ML Deformer. Okay, so we're going to create an ML Deformer for this one. Then we click again the pin button, and with this selected, we are going to select the cache. This is the Alembic cache that we just imported, and we right click here where it says target geometry. We right click here and say replace target with selected. Okay, so it says, you can see ABC cache, which is this object right here. Okay, and this is our body geo shape, which is our geometry. All right, I think this is pretty clear. All right, so if we select this, now we have these three buttons here that we need to configure. Okay, so first button is going to be this one. This is going to set where the training data is going to go. So I'm going to set mine here to this folder. It's in here. You can save this whatever you want. Make a folder wherever you want and point to that folder. So in here it's going to say export start frame is 1 and end frame is 10,000, because remember that's what we exported. Now training data name, you can call this whatever you want. I'm just going to call it like this. Now this is important, like the delta mode. Now the delta mode, you're going to have to select offset. This is very important, because if you select surface, for my testing, surface just doesn't make good result. So select delta mode offset, and then you click on save. All right, next we're going to do the second icon. This is the training parameters. Again, this is quite important. So in here, if you need to set the location for the train model to be saved. Again, I'm just gonna choose the same folder. You can use the same folder because the file is gonna be different, and I'm just gonna use the same name because I'm lazy. It's gonna generate two different folders. Even if you use the same name, that's fine. So once you decided where to save and how to name this, these are the settings that we need to look at. So if you click on advanced settings, there are a few more things that you can take a look at. So the batch size, this one is going to basically say how much VRAM the training is gonna use. If you have 8 gigs of RAM, VRAM, if you have 8 gigs of VRAM, 12 gigs, 16 gigs, or 24 gigs, you can increase this number so the training is going to be a little bit faster. I have a 3090, so I have 24 gigs of VRAM. I can set this to, I don't know, 10,000. This should use about 10 gigs of VRAM. Technically it's going to use a little bit more, but it doesn't matter. If you have more RAM, more VRAM, just you can increase this. Don't set it too high, because if the VRAM gets saturated, the system is going to become unresponsive. So don't go crazy with this number. Maybe just keep it like 8,000. It's fine. It's not going to take too long anyway. Now the epochs, this is basically the number of iterations that it's going through for the training. I found that a good number for me was about 1024. You can actually try with 512 first, and if you don't get good result, bump it to 1024. I'm gonna leave 1024 for now. And then the validation ratio. So this is, how can I explain this? It's going to take 20% of the training data and check how close it is to the target geometry, if that makes sense. So I'm going to set it to 0.3. I am not going to change these other parameters because, so if you increase these two parameters, let's say you set this to something like this, you're gonna get better results. However, the model is gonna be a lot heavier. So I would recommend always start small, and eventually you can increase this if you're not satisfied with the result. But ideally you wouldn't want to, let's start without touching anything in the advanced settings. So if you try like this, actually, you know what, I'm just gonna do 512, which is already a lot more than the default. Anyway, so now click save and let's move on. So the next thing we need to do is to assign the joints. So if you click on control collector this time, remember earlier we connected the control collector to the pose generator, but this time we don't need to do that because we already have the poses. So we go to control collector here, and if you expand this, you remember before we used the scalars settings when we were selecting the joints. This time we're gonna use matrices. Okay, so it says here no matrix converter connected, so we click here and just create new conversion node. You can keep this default and click create. So this created a matrix converter for us like this, and if we go on the matrix converter tab here and open the matrix attribute, now we need to add the same joint that we added before. It doesn't matter if the names are different. The important thing is that basically you need to add the joint that you want the ML Deformer to be used for the deformation, if it makes sense. So in this case, we're going to select clavicle, and this time we don't have to select XYZ, we only have to select the dot matrix one. So ignore the rest, ignore the parent, local, all the rest, just the dot matrix one. Okay, so select your joint, select the dot matrix one and click plus, and it's added here. Same thing for the next one. So this upper arm dot matrix plus lower arm plus the hand plus, and do the same for the other side. So this is the right clavicle, right upper arm, right lower arm, and right hand. All right, I got the list here. Next we're going to do the spines, so we get spine 1, next we get spine 2, spine 3, and spine 4. Then we add neck 1, neck 2, the head, and then we add left thigh, left calf, left foot, and then right thigh, right calf, and right foot. Alright, so now we added all the joints that we want the ML Deformer to use when, you know, when generate the deformations, which are basically the same joints that we used previously to generate the poses. They don't have to be. If your target geometry is, if your target rig, if your target joints are completely different, that's fine. They don't need to be the same as the one that you use for the poses. Just in this case they are, so I just use it the same. It's easy to understand this way. So I got the list here. Let's go back to ML Deformer, and now we should be able to train. If we select our node here and we go in here, you can see that now the train option is turned on, is available. I think the export option was probably turned off earlier as well. Like once you I think these two options, so export and train, become available after you add the joints. So if you haven't done it before, click export. It's going to export all the frames, and then once that is finished, you are ready to train. Now before you do that, I recommend you to save. So let's save this scene as same name, Metahuman body underscore 10k underscore poses, and save. Alright, so at this point I think we are ready to train. We exported all of this, and we have set everything here. So if you have the train button available here, go ahead and click train. This might take from few minutes to could take also up to several hours. That depends on your system. If you have a fast GPU, it's gonna train a lot faster. So when you're ready, go ahead and click train. Now, if this is the first time that you do the training, this window will pop up, and this is going to tell you that ML Deformer requires a, PyTorch script. Just click OK, and this should download it for you. Might take a few minutes. There you go. So it opened up a command prompt, and it's downloading a bunch of stuff. So just let this finish. All right, so it finished downloading, so now the training will start. And as you can see, this is going pretty fast, but again, this will depend on your system. Indicatively, what you need to look for is these two numbers. Without going into too much detail, what you want to see is you want these both to be as close to 0 as possible, and also to be as similar as possible. Once the training is finished, you can actually visualize how the training went. Maya will generate a graph. Also, you can click this button here that will tell you the progress. It's this button right here if you didn't catch it. So it's just going to tell you the progress, and you can cancel it. But as you can see, this is pretty fast. Alright, so the training is complete. As you can see, it was very, very fast. So now if you move your mouse over here and you right click, it says view training results. So you can see how the training went. So the fact that the orange line and the training line are close together, it's really good. This is what you want to get in the best of case scenario. If the orange and the blue line are too much separate, means that there has been some overfitting. The Maya help page actually has a section explaining what overfitting is. So if you're interested in learning more, go on the Autodesk Maya help page and look up ML Deformer and training result window. Also here you can have detailed explanation of the attributes and everything you need to know. This was a very important resource for me to learn how to use this. Alright, so now that we finished the training, we can check how things went. So if we select any of our joints and we rotate, we see that nothing happened. Like right now, everything is still crappy like we did before. It was, same as before. But now, if we turn on, when it says enable, if we turn on our ML Deformer, look what happened. Boom! You got really nice deformation happening, and same thing happens here. You can see it retaining the shape of the elbow, like of the knee, like you should. If we get some challenging pose, like something like this, for example, you can see that the volumes have been retained. If we select, let's select these spines. If we bend like this, you can see that the shape here is very nice. We can do this and check it this way. So if we turn this on and off, you can clearly see the difference before and after. If you want to make it more obvious, what we can do is let's go back to default. We duplicate the body. So this is going to be body G1, that's fine. So this one does not have the ML Deformer. Obviously, we just duplicated it. So if we just do again this, we skim this one. Let's go to rigging, skin, bind skin, reset default, apply, and source skin, copy skin weights, copy. All right. So let's see. So this is okay. So what we can do, we can take the previous one. If we unlock this, you can move this on the side. Let's do 10. Okay. So to make this more obvious, so now if I rotate here and I enable ML Deformer, all right, ML Deformer. So now this will make it even more obvious. So you can see that when I raise the leg, even if I do like something like this, you can see how well the deformation happens. Look at the difference between this one and this one. This looks just awful, while this one looks pretty nice. Same thing here. We can adjust this, maybe do something like that, kind of a extreme. These kind of poses are quite difficult. You can see how well the musculature here is retained compared to whatever is going on here. Look at the difference with just the skinning, the base skinning, and the ML Deformer. If we select these and we bend this way, look how natural, like if we do this, let's do it this way, look how natural. You can see like the skin fold here and the volume are preserved, while on this one it's just wonky. And let's see, let's make this. You can see that you can notice that sometimes there's a little bit of a, like when I move this, the body is kind of jumpy a little bit. This will be eliminated if you redo again the training with higher parameters, like more epochs, or if you train for longer, this will be even better. But for a quick training like this, I think this is definitely more than enough. So if I move this up, you can clearly see, look at the neck. Look at the difference in the neck. This one is completely is retaining all the nice volume, and this is just a crappy mess. Again, the knee, look at the difference. This one is weirdly deformed, while this one is nice and sharp. And let's do something more extreme. Something like that. So you see that at some point this jumped. You can see this happening. So this happens because I'm rotating this joint more than the limit that we designed when we did the training of the poses. So if you go to certain extremes, you're going to see this, it's going to start to break. But if you stay within the limit of the training, you can see that there's a night and day difference. Look at this. All the volumes are maintained here. Well, this is just a rubbery mess. And yeah, this is, the power of the ML Deformer. I'm still learning myself. This was not like this is not supposed to be like a proper tutorial, like this is the correct way of doing it. I don't know if this is the correct way of doing it. This is just the way that I found it to be working. And if anybody in the comments knows more than me and would like to correct me or say actually you did that wrong, you know, anything, if you want to help improving, just let me know in the comment. I'm rambling right now, so if you found this tutorial useful, feel free to share it or don't. I don't care. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.